So I've made it a point to like actually like no, like this is when I'm ending, the work day, and then from here we go and do other creative stuff.
On this episode of Light Life and Limitations, we're stepping into the inner world of artist Biljana Todic, the creative force behind Art by Bilyana. She's a traditional painter whose work explores the spiritual and emotional layers of human experience. Through oils and her curious experimentation with acrylics and watercolor, she creates dream-driven, archetypal imagery that speaks to our shared consciousness. Beyond the canvas, Bilyana is a lover of photography and a constant chaser of light, always looking for the moments that illuminate both the world around us and the world within. In this conversation, we dive into her creative process, the role of identity and culture in her work, the struggles and beauty of burnout and recovery, and the quiet tug of imposter syndrome that so many of us know well. It's a reflective dialogue about what it means to create from the soul while navigating real life. I'm your host, Sharvon Hales, and this is Light, Life, and Limitations, a podcast where creativity meets reality.
When the world feels out of frame, every thought, every fear, every revelation, I find my way through the quiet flame, light in life and all the limitations.
Welcome, Billy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be on.
Hope you like your
This is my first
intro.
podcast. So I'm like a little bit nervous too, but excited.
Don't be nervous. It's just like a Teams meeting.
Yeah, no, that's just giving me PTSD, but yes.
So speaking of Teams, that's a good segue into how I know Bilyana. We have worked together at the same day job now for, I don't even know how many years have you been there?
I've been there for 10 years. I just got my 10-year award.
So yeah, now for 10 years.
Crazy.
She's also a resident of the city of Philadelphia. Well, the Philadelphia area. So welcome, Bilyana. If you want to share a little bit about yourself, your background, and and what you do as an artist.
Sure. Well, I think you did a fantastic introduction. I don't know that I can top that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so I'm a traditional artist. Like you said, working right now mainly in oils, and I dabble in like a bunch of different stuff. I've been focusing on oils, so I'm self-taught. Basically, I didn't never took any art classes or anything like that. So I've been teaching myself over the last, like, I want to say over the last 10 years, I've been teaching myself oils and kind of like really fell in love with that medium. But I dabble in other stuff. Like, as you can see, probably behind me, I have like a stack of sketchbooks. I have a bunch here too that I was going through, like picking out some like favorite pages for posts that I plan on putting up on my blog. So I do a lot of sketchbooking, art journaling, watercolors, acrylics, but I've mainly kind of been focusing on oils in terms of paintings. So yeah, I've been really kind of focusing on um, diving a little bit deeper, I think, into my own like psyche a little bit, right? So just pulling inspiration from different things, from dreams, from conversations that I've had with friends, just life in general. So yeah, and I'm still exploring, right? I don't really have anything specific, or like that's what I'm focusing on right now, but it's not something that I want to say, is going to be a focus for the rest of my life. So I'm just kind of excited to see where it goes.
Nice. So at what age did you get into art?
I've always been one of those kids who's drawn, like, ever since I can hold a crayon, I've been doodling and drawing, so
Mhm.
I still have this, like, vivid memory, of me as a kid. It must have been, like, 6 or 7, so I was born in Yugoslavia, so it's a country that no longer exists. We went through war and all that stuff, and I was there through all of that, but, like, still one of my most vivid memories is sitting outside in, my grandparents' yard, and there was this, like, table in the front, like, with these, like, they're like grapevines, right? Everything was covered with trees and these grapevines,
Mm.
and just me with my friend, like, doodling and drawing. We're drawing cars or things like that, and I remember him, like, getting upset, like, "Hey, you draw so much better than I can." But, like, that was my earliest memory of just, always kinda holding a pencil, and I never let go. Like, most people draw when they're little, and most kids kinda grow out of it,
Yeah.
and I just never grew out of it. Like, that's just one of those things that I've always done, and I've always had some sort of, like, a sketchbook or a paper with me doodling, so
So let's talk about that a little bit about your background as far as being born in Yugoslavia and there during war. Did your art like have any play any role in as far as like dealing with that situation? And then also like when you came to the U.S.
Yeah, I think it was definitely one of those, like, safe spaces, like a bit of an escape from reality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was little, I was 6 when the war started, so I don't remember a whole lot of it, and I think that's just due to my parents, doing a good job and kinda shielding, my sister and I from that kinda stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's always been one of those things I turn to, even now, like, if I'm going through something or if there's just been kinda, like, hard times in life,
Mm-hmm.
it's always been one of those things that's kinda helped center me, and, I always come back to that. So, yeah, it definitely played a huge role in, um, I guess, helping me work through some of that stuff.
Okay. So with regard to some of your artwork, which we can currently see behind you for those who are watching, I know I've seen a lot of your pieces that represent you, like that you're the subject of. So,
Mhm.
talk a little bit about, what inspired that or how that like maybe helps you work through any types of emotions that you're going through at that time.
Yeah, I think one of the things if I'm just remembering, like, going back to 2020, like, that was just such a bizarre year, I think, for everybody, or the start of, like, a very bizarre time. I don't think we've recovered from that. It's
Yeah.
been some strange times since, right? But I remember around that time just, like, starting to have, like, very vivid dreams, and I've never
Mhm.
really remembered my dreams prior to that, but I started remembering these, like, weird dreams, right? And, I guess the context of the dreams doesn't really matter, but I would remember the dreams vividly, and that year, for whatever reason, and it was a very difficult year for many people for obvious reasons, and we couldn't travel, right? That was a bit of a struggle for me because I love to travel. I think the year before COVID, I went to, like, 5 different countries, right? So that's one of the things that I loved. So having that kinda, like, taken away from you might force me to go in a little bit, right?
Mhm.
To be a little bit more introspective. So I think that opened up also, like, a lot of that stuff with the dreams. So I just started noticing a lot of different things, right? That brought up a lot of emotions too. I think shortly after that too is, like, when I started going to therapy for the first time, which is,
Mhm.
I couldn't believe before that I actually haven't gone, right? So that was one of the things I'm super grateful for.
Mhm.
So it brought up a lot of that stuff where I was introspecting a lot, and that turned out to be one of my most creative years. Like that, I think I filled out like 7 sketchbooks. I started a bunch of different paintings. So, well, almost like that introspection kind of kick-started everything, and I was like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, like something kind of just clicked. And I think I was kind of finally connecting to something within
Yeah.
myself. It was being a little bit more authentic in my art. Like I was creating before that too, but I just felt flat, right? I wasn't putting myself into it. So I think that year in general just kind of like sparked something to like open up a little bit more and be a little bit more vulnerable. And I think that definitely kind of helped, with where I am today and where I hope, to go in the future with it. So, yeah, it was a bad year, but it was a good year too. So,
With regard to your artwork, because you said sometimes you paint things that maybe are inspired by a dream. Are you sketching out first, like what to kind of work through the thoughts that you're having, and then you work on the painting, or do you just go right into painting?
yeah. So, I mean, it depends. Not always sketching out, but I am a big sketcher. So, like, do a lot of my pre work in here.
Mhm.
So, one of the things I started doing is actually, like, writing down my dreams. If I remember it, like, as soon as I wake up, like, I'll grab my phone, I'll just note down, like, even if it's not like a dream that I remember, but I remember a feeling, I'll
Mm.
just write it down. And then usually, like, throughout the day, like, I'll forget I even had a dream, but I'll look back on my notes on my phone, like, "Oh, yeah, I forgot I had that dream." And then I'll just grab my sketchbook and start, doodling out some ideas, and that's actually how, this painting in the back here started. So it started
Mhm.
off in a sketchbook first where I kinda sketched out an idea, And usually that's, like, different iterations, right? I'll start out with the initial idea and, like, "Yeah, I don't like that." And then I kinda think about, does the placement make sense, or do I wanna put the character here, right? Like,
Mhm.
how do I want the structure? And then I'll go into, sketching out the painting and then starting there. And it does change, right? Sometimes it doesn't even look like the initial sketch, because I'll change it later. Yeah. So,
It
that's
just
usually how
kind
we
of
start.
evolves once you really start to get into it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then if I work on it a little bit too much, I can overwork it, and that's just yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah, I think I've seen you post before where it's like you've taken a painting and completely, like, just whited it out and just started over
Yeah.
from scratch.
Yeah, I've done that too, yeah. It's horrible, but
Is that
hey,
part of the
it's a
reason
part of the process.
why you prefer to work with oils?
Yeah, they're very forgiving, so yeah, that's why I like that, because you can go back in, like, days later and it's still, workable and a little bit wet, so yeah.
So, with regard to, your artwork, is do you do it kind of, like, more so for yourself, or is it something that you like to share with others? Um, do you sell your artwork? Do you gift it? Like, or is it just, like,
I
pretty much,
Yeah,
like, ready
I
for my
do it
home?
at the moment right now. I do it more for myself. I think that's kinda where I wanna be authentic to it, right? So, like, if you start thinking about selling stuff, you're automatically thinking about an audience, right? You're creating for somebody else. So I haven't gone down that path yet. Um, I think a lot of it too has been, which we'll probably get into this topic later, with imposter syndrome, right? Like,
Mhm.
I didn't go to school for it. I'm self-taught. It's like, "Ooh, can I call myself an artist?" Right? Like, do I have the right to sell art? Is this good enough? So a little bit of that has been an influence as to why I haven't dabbled into that
Mhm.
yet. But yeah, most of it right now is just for myself. And I do sometimes from time to time, like, doodle something. Well, I'll gift it to a friend or something like that. But yeah, it's been mostly for
I
me.
got one of you made a little bookmark painting of my cat,
Oh yeah, I
after she
remember
passed
that.
away, so
Yeah.
actually have that sitting with her ashes, so I really
No.
appreciate that.
No, thanks.
So you mentioned you and I both, we have a love for travel. Obviously, for me, when I'm traveling, I'm taking pictures, flying my drone. But one of the things I love that you do is that you sketch and do watercolor, like when you're painting, or I'm sorry, when you're traveling.
Mhm.
So like, how do you kind of plan your travels around, like, places that will be that you really wanna, like, draw, like, sit and draw, or do you just kinda, like, find places as you're walking around?
I just kind of find places, yeah, like that. A lot of my sketchbooks, like, I'll have, like, stickers on them. Like, this was, we had our workshop for work in Chicago, so it's usually, like, there's stuff in there from that trip, but yeah, like, usually it's just bring a little sketchbook and a little setup, like, this is from Amsterdam. So a lot of my sketchbooks will have stickers on them, like, from where I've been.
Mhm.
Um and they're not always the most convenient places. So I remember when I went a couple of years ago with my mom to Scotland, and the weather is just absolutely horrendous, right? It's like raining, windy, but still, like, you can always find a spot, like in a coffee shop or something like that, to doodle. And I like looking back on those sketchbooks too, because it helps me relive the moment a little bit better than just,
Mhm.
um, taking pictures with the phone. And it's different too, like, when you take a picture with the phone versus, like, bringing a camera too, because I feel like with the actual camera, I have to think about what I'm, taking a picture of, versus
Yeah.
phone where you're just kinda, like, automatically snapping. But yeah. So no, I don't really plan, trips based on that, but I do plan for the trip, like, keeping in mind, like, "Okay, I'm gonna bring this sketchbook,
Mhm.
this material, don't bring too much, because then it's, like, decision overload on what I'm gonna use." But yeah.
Have you ever thought, I mean, I know you said, monetizing your work could potentially, suck the joy out of it. I've been there. But, like, with your sketches, your travel sketches, have you ever considered maybe, like, turning your sketches into, like, a calendar or postcards or something like that?
Yeah, I've thought about that too, like, different ideas for that,
Mhm.
I have not gone around to it. I think that's something that I need somebody to kinda, like, light a fire under my butt to, like, get me there, a little bit.
I'm here for that.
Thanks, I know, I know.
Like,
But
when I come next time I'm in Philly, I want some Biljana Todic, postcards or something. You know,
I'll eat a postcard or
I need
something.
some piece of your artwork. I have, like, a my staircase that leads into my apartment. I have, like, a little gallery wall of, like, art that I've bought from other people. So, I
Oh,
need
that's
something
cool.
from you, the next
Alright,
time. The next time
alright.
I'm there, I would like a piece of Biljana Todic travel
You
art.
gotta let me know when, so I give
Yeah.
myself a timeline, but yeah,
I
no,
need
I've
to
definitely thought
yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Uh, Pick a piece from your Amsterdam trip, because that way it'll serve as kinda like a little vision board for me, because that's been on my, my travel bucket list for as long
Oh,
as I
you
can
should go, yeah,
remember.
it was a fun it wa that was definitely a fun trip.
Yeah, my dad talks about the Netherlands all the time, and then I have a friend that's from Holland. He's from
Mhm.
Rotterdam. But, like, growing up, I always heard about Korea and Netherlands from when my dad was stationed there, and so, like, I went to South Korea 2 years ago, so now Netherlands is on uh,
Oh,
my
definitely.
bucket list,
Yeah, it
next
was a
up
good
for as
trip.
far as
Like,
international travel.
Korea's on my trip for sure, so
Oh, well, if you need somebody to tag along, I will definitely go back to
yes,
Korea.
definitely.
So, as artists, we pour a lot of emotional energy into our work. And but as artists with day jobs, a lot of our energy gets drained, right? So, do you have any type of like routines or like boundaries that you have set in order to keep a balance there with regard to real life and then, artist life?
Oh, that's a good point, and a good question. So, yes, I think I've made it a point, especially, like, over the last couple of years to, um, make sure that work is done at a certain hour, right? Like, it's very easy, especially working from home now, to just kinda continue past, our usual time where we'd, like, back in the day, like, normally leave the office, around 5. It's very easy to just kind of ignore the clock and just continue, especially, like, during busy times.
Mhm.
So I've made it a point to, like, actually, like, no, like, this is when I'm ending, the work day, and then from here we go and do other creative stuff. And then the other thing too, like, I'm a big notebook, obviously sketcher too, but like I
Mhm.
have notes, right, like physical notes, and I have a little sketchbook in here too. So like even during the day, like, if I'm in a meeting where I'm not necessarily, like, having to present something or talk, I'll doodle during the meeting,
Mhm.
and that actually helps me remember stuff better. I don't know what it is, like, with, taking the brain to a creative mode
Yeah.
and, like, it helps you pay attention. So I've started just kinda, like, using that time to, like, doodle,
Yeah, I
and that
remember reading something that says if you doodle with your notes, like, even if it's, like, drawing arrows and stuff like that, it's
yeah,
something about it that especially for creative brains, it helps the information stay longer. I know I did
yeah,
that when I was, studying for my drone certification. I was struggling with the different airspaces because there's, like, different colors and different types of lines that represent the airspace on the air maps, and I'm like, I need a way to remember what is what," and I kinda, like,
yeah,
doodled it out, and I drew like, I took brought my different color pens and stuff, so that way, I could put it in my notes the way it would show up on the air map, and that helped it, like, help me retain that information. But I definitely remember your little comic strip that was, like, you know, kind of like your therapy during, like,
I do
really, really busy times for us.
I
Um,
do that, like, that's literally
yeah,
my work
yeah,
therapy is just,
sure,
like, doing these little
yes.
doodles of, like
She's so
it's
very
just like the work
relatable.
day or,
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
but, they were very relatable, just your little cartoon character in meetings and stuff, and, I think that's definitely a good way to kind of, like, keep your creative juices flowing in the midst of a work day,
Yeah.
but
I think
also
I'm
good.
just I'm a visual person too, like you, so, like, even at work, in work situations, like, our industry is very complicated, so, I'm a flowchart person, so I'll, like, have to, like, I doodle it in my work notes too, right? Like, let me work this out for myself. Like, okay, it starts here, ends there, whatever. But it's again, it's very visual,
Mhm.
creative, right? But yeah, so no, that definitely helps.
You brought up the pandemic. So, obviously, it was a very complicated time and shifting from office work to work from home, and, we were essential workers, so we were kinda hybrid and stuff. So, how did you manage your, like, burnout level during that as far as, like, creating? Like, at any point, did you kind of, like, stop creating? Because I know for me, I got more into my photography during the pandemic because I needed an outlet because it's like,
Mhm.
everything was like you said, when you're working from home, you kinda don't know when to stop. So, how do you balance that?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember back, like, when COVID happened, right? Yeah, we were mostly home, so I remember struggling at that point to kind of separate, right, work and home
Mhm,
and home responsibilities and all, like, everything else that comes with being, a regular adult and then, like, being creative. There were definite moments of, finishing out work, and again, like you said, we were essential workers. It was crazy times too at work, like, during that time, so it was basically, like, nonstop.
mhm,
And then my work area at that time was really like a combination. Like, it was newly working from home, so I didn't really have a work setup that was, let's say, like, appropriate or where I could split, right, like, creative stuff. So it was essentially like taking my computer and just shoving it in a corner where I did art. So I
mhm,
was doing work and art in the same area. And I do remember at one point just kinda, like, not wanting to be, like, in that area at all. Like, when work was done, I was so burned out and overwhelmed and just didn't even wanna look at that area. I would just, like, have to walk away from it.
mhm,
And then but that's also where I created art, so it kind of like, it was a little bit of a struggle there for a moment. So I did have to kinda create that separate station, like, for work, like, "Okay, this is where I do work, this is where I do art," so that I could, finish one and then just leave and then walk to the other, right? Separate them kind of physically. So that helped. But yeah, there was definitely moments where it was just like, I can't even think about creativity right now because I'm so burned out from this during the day and I don't even want to be in that corner.
mhm.
So yeah, that was a struggle, but I think helping separating the 2 for sure,
Yes.
whether it's physically or even mentally, like, if you're working in the same area, like, where you are, where you have that switch, right? So for you mentally, when you hit that switch, right,
Yeah.
work mode is done, creativity's
Or
on,
sometimes
right?
what I actually do now is, like, because I work, in Mountain Time, but I work East Coast hours, so I'm done at 3 o'clock. And what I
Yeah,
do is I will leave the room for about an hour. I go run an errand or go play with the cat, and then I come back in, and then so it's kind of a mental changeover along
yeah.
with, being able to just switch my technology over to my business my personal business laptop. So, yeah, there definitely needs to be a separation there of,
Mhm.
like, creative space and workspace if you are a creator who has a day job, which many of us do because we have bills
Yeah.
and
I
rent and
was gonna say I think majority of us do.
yes, I'm like, if you're able to make a living off of your art, you consider yourself very, very blessed. Um, but how do you make a conscious effort to create on a regular basis with, um, like you said, being an adult and having adult responsibilities? How do you fit in the art, amongst all of that?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just been kind of, um allowing different types of creativity, right? It doesn't necessarily always have to be painting. So I'm working on a painting right now, but it's set it my art studio right now is in a separate garage and it's freaking cold. I have a little space heater in there, but when it gets down to like 20 degrees, I don't want to be in there. So
Mhm,
that's been a little bit difficult. Not that it's an excuse, right? But so I haven't worked on that particular painting in like a couple of weeks, but again, I have, a little sketchbook in here, right? I
mhm,
have a sketchbook that I'm working on, for the moment, like, it's almost done, right? So allowing those like different types of creativity. So and not only with sketching, but just making time to like throughout the day, like sometimes even during lunch, I'll walk out, I'll take my camera and I'll just go like around the neighborhood taking pictures, right?
Yes.
Just to kind of do something creative, something different that takes me like away from the screen and away from Excel spreadsheets. um, so just allowing for different types of creativity. Whether it's just, reading a book and writing about what you're reading, right? Like, what did you read? What did it inspire? Things like that. So just allowing for different types of creativity and not kind of, boxing yourself into to one thing.
Yeah, I noticed that, you've been, transition not transitioning, but, adding photography into your creative repertoire. So obviously I like to message you anytime I see you're out taking pictures and asking you about the cameras and stuff that you're buying. So with regard to photography, like what is it that you enjoy about it?
I don't I so I've always been the person in the family who's been with a camera.
Mhm.
There's even a running joke in my family about that. Like one of my great grandfathers like was the photographer in the family back in the day, so they call me by his name. And I just like the memories, right? So, like, people get annoyed sometimes when I take too many pictures, right, at family gatherings and things like that, but, like, years later, they always thank you. I'm like, "Oh my
Yes.
god, I can't believe you remember that," right? I'm like, "Well, you're welcome." Um but I just one of the things that's made me fall in love with photography again, just outside of that is just kinda, like, finding the little magic in everyday, like, moments and everyday things, like
Mhm.
catching a certain light in my living room. I'm like, "Oh, that looks really cool," right?
Yeah.
And I'll take a picture, and then it might spark something later down the line where I look back on that picture and go, "Oh, I wanna paint that," right? So just
Mhm.
little things like that. But yeah. And I've also discovered that it's a very expensive hobby.
Yes. You're doing film, right?
I just started with that, and I
Okay.
actually this is the first like, this little one that I got this is the first film camera that I got,
Mhm.
and it's this little, like, Pentax Auto 110 little Japanese camera. Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, it's tiny, like, I have
Yeah.
small hands in general, but it's a very tiny camera, and it's the 110 film, which
Mhm.
is, like, very, very small, and
Yeah,
it's
it's a
not, like,
CD
the
cartridge.
best quality either. So that's the first one I got, and I just actually shot all 24, shots, and
Mhm.
I have to get it developed, so I haven't gotten it developed yet, so I'm excited to
You
see what it
should learn
actually is
how
gonna
to
look
develop your
like.
own film, it's so fun. It's very therapeutic.
Developing your own? I saw
Yeah.
you were doing that. That looks intimidating.
It's not. I mean, it's chemistry. So if you're not good at, like, handling chemicals, then yeah, then maybe not.
And
But,
you need, like, a dark room for that, right? Like, there's, like,
yeah,
a
so there's,
specific process.
I have what's called a darkroom bag, although I did realize recently, I'm like, I have a closet in my office that is, like, completely dark that I could technically turn into a dark room if I wanted to, but I have this thing, it's called a darkroom bag, so it's like you put everything inside and you put your arms in, and then you can load up it's all done by touch
Oh, that sounds cool.
and you can't, you wouldn't be able to see it in a dark room anyway, so
Well, that's
um,
true, yeah.
that's how I started out was with film photography when I was in college, the full darkroom experience, um, and then my dad had built me a darkroom in our, basement bathroom, so then I
Nice.
had that after Cabrini closed down the dark like, literally the next year after I took photography, they switched everything to digital. And then
Ugh.
I was so mad, I was like, I'm a film photographer, I'm not doing digital photography." Then eventually I had to get a digital camera because that's just the way things were shifting. Um,
Yeah.
but I have a collection now of film cameras that I need to get on my Bilyana and go for walks and take
Take him
pictures.
out for walks.
Like, literally, I forget how many cameras I have out there, but they're all loaded, and I'm like, "Sharman, just, like, grab a camera and go for a walk somewhere, take pictures." So, I need to make that an initiative in 2026.
Is it a lot I mean, I'm assuming it is a lot cheaper to develop yourself because it's not a cheap thing to, like,
Yeah.
get
I
photos
mean,
developed and
developing
waxed.
now, you can send it out to there's a lot of mail-in, photo labs now where they'll do the developing and the scanning for you,
Mhm.
which can range from, like, $10 to $15 depending on, what the film is and, the cost of the shipping and everything. There's
Yeah,
different labs and stuff for that now.
there's a local lab near me that I called and asked them, like, if they developed the 110 film because apparently not everybody develops it,
Mhm. Yeah,
and they said they only develop the color 110 film, so not
like
black and
black
white,
and
and
white, yeah.
yeah, that's weird, okay.
So, yeah, so that's part of why I went back to developing on my own because it's like I think I had sent a
It's
couple out
expensive.
and I was just like, "Oh, this gets very pricey." Like, you can't just take
Yeah.
it over to CVS anymore.
No, I know,
Yeah,
I miss those days.
so, yeah, I mean, it's definitely especially I mean, if you're developing black and white film, it's a little bit easier. You can get it's called monobath, so it's a one-step process. Um, Whereas color, it's a little more complicated. But you always
I
have the
actually
option to send it to me, and I can develop it for you.
there you go. I got this on eBay the other day, and I don't know if it's gonna work, but I'm gonna try it. It's actually expired film, but it's like a Kodak film from, like,
Mhm.
1992.
I mean, if they had it
I'm not
refrigerated, then it should still work, but
It
it's
has
worth a
sat in
try.
my mailbox, and it's
Yeah.
been, like, 10 degrees outside for a very long time, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I found a roll of film well, because I had this, big bag of, disposable cameras and film that we found in my sister's house after she had passed away. We were cleaning out, and I was like, "I'm gonna take it and get it developed." Then I realized how much it costs to get things developed, so I was like, "I'm gonna develop all these
Do it
myself,"
myself.
which I'm still working through those, but, there was one roll in there, it was, that was unexposed. I was like, "Oh, Imma shoot this and see if
Mhm.
anything comes out on it." So, I have that now sitting in my refrigerator with all the other
Nice.
film. So, I tend to, anytime I'm in New York, I go to B&H Photo, because they have a whole variety of films and stuff in there. So I like to buy, like, the experimental type films that, like, they might have, like, light leaks on them or different
Mhm.
color tones, where because like, regular, Portra or Kodak film, I can get that from the store. But if I'm
Yeah, you
somewhere
can
and
get
they
that
sell,
anywhere.
like, unique films, like, there was a film kiosk not a kiosk, what do you call it? A vending machine. There was a film vending machine in Korea. It was, like, across the street from our Airbnb, and I wanted to buy some film from there so I can be like, "Oh, I shot this on film that I bought in Korea." But, like, my card would not work on this machine.
Oh,
Like, it's supposed to use they have these things called T-money cards in Korea. You load money on it, and you can use it for public transportation, for Ubers, for, like you use it in what their version of the Wawa is. So, it says it accepted that card, and it was like, it was not accepting my card. But anyway, that's, like, now it's
it
on my
was a sign. It was like, "No, Sharvon, you have
I
enough."
know, like, "You have enough film." But, that's gonna be my bucket list thing now when I travel is to, like, either buy a camera from that country or some film or something.
Oh, you should go to Japan. I love Japan, but it's also
That's literally
dangerous
where I got the thought from because some guy bought a 72-year-old camera from Japan and, like, shot a basketball game on it and, like, everything none of it got exposed properly.
Oh, no.
So,
You say have a backup.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Nice.
I'm like, I don't know why he was shooting a basketball game on that, but, okay, anyway,
Yeah.
so that was an ADHD moment right there.
Yeah, I hear that.
Um, so with regard to your work and, earlier you said, you're kind of always exploring different themes and how do your, I guess, changes that you go through in life influence your work, and even, like, the mediums that you choose to use?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. I think that the older that I've gotten, the more free that I've
Mm,
become with, like, sharing a little bit more, um, of even my own, like, personal story and journey and all of that stuff. Like, I still remember, like, in my 20s, it was one of those things where, like, should I draw
mm,
this? Should I paint this?" Right? It's like people might think it's weird kinda thing, right?
mhm,
And now I just don't care. So I think that's kind of the beauty of getting older. People just like, "I don't give a shit." Like, I
yeah.
give yeah, who cares? Like, this is me. So, yeah. So I think that's been it's been a good thing, and it's been kind of like a fun thing that I'm just kinda more free and open with the stuff that I've been through and all that stuff, so it's just made my work a little bit more authentic, I think.
Would you ever consider doing an exhibit or, or
I definitely would, like, never say never, like, I don't know what's gonna happen in the future, so, yeah, I would definitely be open to it. I think I just have to, like, keep creating, that's it, like, to have
Mhm.
a actual body of work.
So, are there any moments, that have shaped specifically the way that you paint? As far as, like, your technique, your style, or is it just kinda you said you're self-taught, so is it just kind of, you know, it just flows out of you?
Yeah, I think it's been also just me exploring and trying to find my style. It's always been one of those things where, like, you see people with, like, a certain style, like, "Oh, that's cool, like, can I do that?" And then, like, you try it and, like, it's not really me, or it always comes out a different way, so it's
Mhm,
been an exploration for me to kinda get to find my style. I don't know if I have yet, like, I'm still discovering it, so, yeah, I don't think it's been any one particular thing, it's just kinda been, like, taking maybe bits and pieces from, like, different artists and, like, we all get influenced by certain things,
mhm.
so, yeah, just things like that. So it hasn't been anything in particular, it's just kinda been an exploring thing, and it's an ongoing thing, ongoing journey.
Are there any things that you do to, like, stay inspired or, to kind of, like, elevate your work to the next level?
I do a lot of, like, I do since I do a lot of, like, people, like, not necessarily portraits or anything like that, but, like, a lot of figures and things like that in my work. I do a lot of figure studies in my sketchbooks.
Mhm,
So usually when I don't know what to draw or if I'm not feeling super inspired, I will just do figure studies.
mhm,
And that's usually like I'll go online and there's like different websites you can go where like you have models that will pose and they have like time poses, so it's almost like a class kind of thing where they'll
mhm,
pose in certain poses for like 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes, and you just kinda, like, have to quickly draw, so that helps also loosen up, a little bit,
mhm.
I feel like drawing is one of those things where it's, like, use it or lose it kinda things.
Yeah.
If I don't do it every day, I definitely feel like I'm a little bit stiff, right? Like, it's almost like you're too careful with your marks, and as soon as you get into that, like, detail like, being super careful, like, forget it. It doesn't come out right. So, yeah, it's just kind of been, yeah, working on that. Like, I hate drawing hands. I don't know why. So I force myself to draw hands, right? So, like, things like that. So that's kinda what I try to do, yeah. Especially when I don't have that moment of inspiration. It's like, okay, you could still practice, right, with some other stuff.
Yeah, so like you said, just, drawing every day, you know,
Yeah,
it's almost like it's a muscle in a way that you
yeah. It
gotta,
is definitely muscle.
yeah, develop it so that you can, you develop a muscle memory, and then eventually you get to the point where you can draw hands without thinking about it.
Exactly. Yeah. I think everybody can draw. It's just you have to put in the time to actually practice and do it.
So, what's something you hope someone feels or experiences, from viewing your art?
I hope people feel seen a little bit or recognize a little bit of themselves in it, like
Mhm,
to be not to be afraid to be, open or share a little bit about who they are as people, right? So yeah, that's really the thing that the kind of the main thing. Like you always hope somebody has some sort of reaction to your art, right? Just don't be neutral about it. But yeah, I just hope that people actually feel a little bit seen, and can relate to it.
Yeah, it's definitely, a vulnerability
Yeah.
with, a lot of the themes in your artwork that I've seen, that I think, I think when I first met you, a lot of your artwork was, figures, like, nude figures, and I think you had talked about in one of your posts that it was a way for you to kind of, reflect on, like, your own body,
Mhm.
right? So that kind of for me in viewing your work, then that theme kind of, like, resonated with me as far as, as someone who my weight has, like, fluctuated throughout my life, and it's like I've had periods where it's like, I
Me
don't really
too.
love my body, oh, like, I hate I don't like the way my body looks right now, but learning just to appreciate what your body looks like in the moment, especially
Yeah.
I had surgery this past summer, so excuse me. I had surgery this past summer, so I have new scars on my abdomen. And I remember, so I had my appendix out when I was 14, so I was very self-conscious about my midsection being exposed because of my appendectomy scar. But now it's like I have my appendectomy scar and then my laparoscopy scars, and I don't care. Like, I will throw on a crop top in a second, and it's like, these scars are a part of who I am.
Yeah.
So definitely that's what I've gotten from viewing your artwork is just kind of like learning to appreciate my body as it is. And and not being afraid to be seen.
Oh,
Like
that's
you said
awesome.
like you said, you want people to feel seen. Um,
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, that's helped me kind of work through some of my, issues with self-image in the beginning too. Like, hey, this
mhm.
is me and I don't care, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna paint the scars and the stretch marks. Doesn't matter. Like that's who I am. So
Well, is there anything else you would like to share before we wrap it up? Or, yeah, where can tell people where they can see your work and everything?
no, I mean yeah, so you can catch me the easiest way is on Instagram, so at Art by Bilyana or my website, artbybilyana.com. So that kind of will link you to everything else. No, this was fun. Just thank you for having me. Yeah, this was a fun conversation and a fun catch up. Yeah, so that's all.
All right. I appreciate you, Billy. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Life doesn't always stay in perfect focus. There's magic in the blur we can't ignore. Every shadow, every highlight softly shows us who we are and who we're reaching for. When the world feels out of frame, every thought, every fear, every revelation, I find my way through the quiet flame, light in life and all the limitations.